Okay. So last night, as I was going to sleep, I was like, we should do a little video where we tell stories. And I thought of a story that I want to tell that Nancy will enjoy. And then I thought of a story that Nancy can tell that I will enjoy. And then I thought, well, maybe if Nancy can think of two similar stories, then we can tell stories. And then like 400 years from now, when we're cybertronic figures living in...
We can watch them again.
We can watch them again and enjoy them. So, here's story number one that I want to tell that I think Nancy will enjoy. Years ago, when we were at University of Oregon, we all lived in the dorms, and during like midterms and during finals, the cafeteria would open late at night and do
Oh
some
my
like,
god,
special
this is my favorite story. This is my favorite.
We would all go because you needed a study break, right? Where everybody's studying for midterms, we're like, okay, let's have a study break, and they would do pizza or they would do tacos or something like that. So it was pizza this one time. Pizza. And they had put down like tablecloths, and they had candles in the middle of the table.
Just paper tablecloths.
Just paper tablecloths. And there was like pizza, so we're like, okay, me and Nancy, I don't know, some other people, were eating pizza, and our candle went out. And I was like, oh, well, it's no longer an authentic Italian thing because our candle went out, but there's a candle on the other table. So I brought over the other candle, and what you have to know is that the candles were in these little glass globes, and they were about this big, and the candle was way down in the bottom. And I'm like, oh, well...
It was fancy.
It was like kind of fancy for the cafeteria. And so I'm like, well, what I'll do is I'll take a paper napkin and I'll roll it up really tight and make a wick. And then I'll light it with the candle that's still going, and then I'll just put it in the other candle. And it was like, then I'll light our candle. Then everything's going to be great. Well, maybe rational people can see what's going to happen. My napkin, like, started to flame, and I'm like...
Predictably. Actually, in retrospect.
And I'm like, I'm putting it into the other candle, and it's starting to go like... I'm like, oh, okay. So I kind of dropped the napkin into the thing, and then I grabbed my paper plate...
No.
No?
First you grabbed your plastic fork,
Oh,
I think.
a fork, yeah, I'm kind of poking at it. I'm like, poking at it.
And the fork caught on fire.
I don't know if the fork caught on fire, but...
Maybe you did the paper plate first.
I don't know. There was fire. And paper like, table coverings, and there's paper everywhere.
And paper and plastic.
And people are starting to notice. Like, there's beginning to be a fire in the center of our table.
And what are you saying?
I'm like... Oh, okay. Well, we've got a little fire here. It's all right. It's all cool. Everything's under control.
Super calm. Vince is super calm, and he's going, okay. And the thing I remember you saying is you're grabbing more and more paper and plastic things to try to put out the fire, grabbing more flammable things. At one point, you go, okay, things are heating up in here.
Yeah, exactly. So I finally...
And I was laughing.
Nancy was flipping at it. And so, like, half the cafeteria is noticing. So my idea was finally to just put something heavy on top of it to get rid of all the oxygen. Well, that eventually worked, but it was really sketchy for a while. Because it was kind of a lot of fire.
It was like we're going to have to evacuate.
I actually thought, towards the end, even while I was saying everything's under control, everything's cool, I was like, I'm going to burn this place down. I'm going to be so ashamed. But I got the thing on top, it all like boom, lots of smoke or whatever, and then everything went back to normal. The whole cafeteria settled down, and I was like, ugh. And Nancy has loved that story ever since the beginning of time.
I loved it as it was happening.
Yes,
I was laughing so hard watching you do that, even as I was thinking, holy shit, we're going to burn the whole place down.
It was still funny.
But, the way I remember it, this is probably not the case, but the way I remember it is that the whole cafeteria
everybody was
got
looking.
silent, and like more and more people started looking, and the way I envision it is just you, and then me like, and all these silent people going.
Do you remember anything about who else was at the table? Because I don't.
Ken was probably there.
Who?
Ken.
Oh, Ken. Okay.
Yeah, Ken was probably there. Maybe some of those Carson people, or maybe it was people from our dorm. I don't remember.
I don't know. Anyway, that's story one.
Oh my
The story I want to hear, of course, is the little woodland creature.
It's not much of a story.
It's really short, but I just really enjoy it.
It's really short, but the visual. So this is where the visual actually makes a difference. And yeah, so it's not much of a story. It's just that in the apartment that I was living, so this is another college story, of course. And I was living in the apartment, and I think this just happened once. I don't know if this guy was a regular visitor.
I only know.
I can't remember. So there was a sad little baby possum. And in front, and there was my apartment, and there was a law building, and there was a little grassy knoll, and some bushes. And one day, I guess everything sort of coalesced in that there was a baby possum that apparently had lost its home or something and was kind of wandering around during the day, because possums aren't out during the day. And someone had left a open package of big hot dogs, like kielbasa or something. They were big, big hot dogs. And this little baby possum, poor little baby possum, went, and I saw him go up to the hot dogs, and he went, and he got a hot dog out and went, and drug it away.
That's it.
And Vince loves the visual on that.
I actually misremembered the story. I thought it grabbed the package.
No.
And was like tugging the entire package
Oh no,
away.
they were big. They
Okay,
were like
so it
that.
grabbed
They
a
were like
hot
as
dog.
long as him, but it was, they were
Yeah.
like this
Yeah,
kind
and
of
it was a
hot dog.
little possum. Yep. He was a little bit. So that's the story that I love Nancy to tell.
Okay.
Okay.
So I didn't know that I was supposed to think of two, because I only thought of you have the series. Well, actually, I totally forgot about that fire, because that's my favorite. That's like one of my all-time favorite stories.
It's a really great story.
And so we could call the next story is a set of stories. We could call it the trilogy of Vince's father.
Trilogy. Whoa.
Is it? Did you say it's a trilogy?
I don't
Because you
know.
said there's one that I don't know.
Oh,
Because
I don't know
there's
if I
one
said that.
involving a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
One
I'll
involving
just tell some stories.
Yeah.
So the two
And then you said there's
that
one
I
more
can
don't
think
know.
of, the two that I can think of is that my dad, when he lived in Salem,
You should tell
one
anyone
day-
watching who's not us for the
Yeah,
future that
yeah.
it's kind of horrifying.
This is a little bit of a horrifying
Hide
story.
your children.
Hide your story. Hide your children. He's in the garage, and my dad kind of hates
Nature.
creepy, crawly. Well, yeah, maybe. He hates like little creatures like in his life. He does not want little creatures in his life. They don't belong in his life. They're people, have people space. Pets are one thing. Like pets are okay. He likes cats, but whatever. Moles, gophers, ferrets, anything like that must
Get his
be
dander up.
not only must be ejected, it must be destroyed. So one day he's hanging out in the garage in suburban Salem, and he notices that there's a mole, a gopher, some kind of an otter, I don't know, some kind of little four-legged creature in his garage. And in the heat of the moment, he grabs a sledgehammer and bam, just flat out nails it, and it's dead. And the Caroline's face is going,
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
This is disgusting.
so when he told me the story, I was like,
You were
wow,
wrong.
Dad, you hit like they're fast. Like those little things they're fast. Like how do
You were there. You saw him do it.
No, I wasn't
Oh,
there.
he told
no,
you.
he told me the story.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I never
Yeah.
saw any of this stuff happen.
Oh, thank God.
Well, yeah, I might have been traumatized for
Yeah.
life. Okay, so that's a great story.
Yeah.
But then it's made better by the fact that, well, no, maybe you're right, because maybe there was another time that one of them was poking its head up out of the ground. And he was around with a sledgehammer and nailed it before it was able to get back into it. So anyway, there's maybe two stories there where he killed it with the sledgehammer. The other time, though, was when he moved to Willamina, where he still lives. And he lives, there's a little tiny rural highway that goes around the base of their house, and they live up on this kind of bluff. His little yard is there, and the little house is there. And one day he's out in the yard, one of these little things pokes its head up out of the hole.
A mole.
A mole, sure.
It was a mole, I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was moles.
I get them all mixed up. Gophers, moles, they're all friends.
No, I think it was angry that it was moles.
Oh, yeah, they're always digging in his yard. But I think gophers do the same thing.
Gophers
and moles. So anyway, he reaches down, grabs it, and hurls it over the freeway, or the highway. It's like, and I know this place, I'm like, wow. So that actually might not contribute to the death of the creature, because it goes kind of into the brush, right, way across the highway. But it was definitely get out of my life.
That's just like
stupid creature.
lightning quick reflex.
Dad is speedy. Dad is
And
speedy.
angry.
And he doesn't like little creatures. So that's my two stories.
That's
three
good.
stories. Yep.
That's a good one. I thought it was possums in the garage.
Who knows?
I remember it as possums.
When you live in
Or
Oregon, there's
raccoons?
all these little.
Could be raccoons.
No, definitely not raccoons.
Not that big.
Raccoons are like.
Yeah, well, hence the sledgehammer.
Yeah. Anyway, so you don't feel like there's no other stories you enjoy
Oh,
telling?
I didn't think of anything because I only thought of the one that I was going to ask you.
Cool.
So I can't.
Well,
think
we can
of
stop there.
Yeah. Cut.
Bye.
Thanks, Carolyn.